Welcome to Bad at Goodbyes. Each week on our show, we spotlight species from the IUCN Critically Endangered Red List. These are plants and animals with decreasing populations, nearing the edges of extinction. And so we'll share species research, information and conservation proposals, and then we'll spend part of the show opening a space for contemplation and awe. We'll perform a soundscape of gentleness, of reflection, of delight, and maybe of grieving. Without conservation activity and significant societal shift, many of these species may not survive the 21st century. And so perhaps we might acknowledge their journey with a moment of our attention, a recognition of our kinship, and with a commitment to personal and systemic change. Thank you for listening. On today's show, we consider the spoon-billed sandpiper. The spoon-billed sandpiper is a critically endangered migratory avian, a bird native to breeding ground in far northeastern Russia in the Chukotka Autonomous District that migrates to summer in Southeast Asia in Bangladesh, Thailand, Myanmar, and China. Its scientific name is Calidris pygmaea, and it was first described in 1750. The spoon-billed sandpiper is a small shorebird whose most notable feature is, of course, their spatulate bill. Spatulate just means shaped like a spatula. The bill is broad and rounded at the tip. It looks like smooshed. Think of the flat, wide end of a kitchen spatula. The tip is roughly half an inch wide, narrowing near the base. The bird itself is very small, measuring about 6 inches in length and weighing only about an ounce. Over the course of the year, the spoon-billed sandpiper's plumage shifts in coloration. During the breeding season, adults display a reddish-brown hue with dark brown streaks on their head, neck, and breast. And then in the non-breeding season, their plumage changes to a more subdued pale brownish gray with white underparts. They molt, revealing this new coloration. Their legs are slender and nearly black, with an anisodactyl toe arrangement. So that is 3 digits pointed forward and 1 shortened hallux pointed backward. They have dark black eyes, and their bill is also black. Their spatulate bill is not unique in the avian kingdom, though it is rather rare. It's a feeding adaptation. The spoon-billed sandpiper feeds on small shrimp, crab, fish, insects, and insect larvae found in the soft mud and shallow water of coastal tidal flats. Their bill has very sensitive touch receptors called herps corpuscles that sense the subtle vibration of prey under wet sand or soil. The spatulate shape and these touch receptors allow for a range of feeding strategies. So, pecking, this is simply picking food items directly from the ground. Spear hunting, this is a sudden, forceful strike of their bill into shallow water used to capture larger prey like crab and even fish that the sandpiper has tracked visually. Shoveling, in which the bill is used like a shovel to flip mud, dirt, and vegetation to access potential prey beneath. Also, sweep stitching. This is a specialized technique where the bird sweeps its bill from side to side, with the bill remaining in the soft mud, feeling for and loosening buried prey. Burst stitching is similar to sweep stitching, but with less lateral movement, more vertical, up and down moves, a kind of splashing, removing the bill from the water or mud on each sweep, dislodging prey. And lastly, hoovering. This is a rapid, shallow movement with only the very edge of the bill tip inserted into very thin layers of mud or water, again, for seeking and displacing prey. Feeding is timed with the tides. As the tide recedes, newly exposed mudflats with shallow or even no water are the primary feeding ground. That said, spoon-billed sandpiper are omnivorous, and in their summer breeding grounds, they will also consume mosses, grass seeds, and berries to supplement their diet. At these summer breeding grounds, the spoon-billed sandpiper will form monogamous relationships with breeding pairs that persist across multiple seasons. Males will perform aerial displays to attract a mate, a mid-air courtship dance involving rapid flight accompanied by distinctive, high-pitched vocalizations. We have some recordings of spoon-billed sandpiper vocalizations. Now, I should say it's not clear if these are specifically courtship calls, but the recordings were taken at their breeding grounds during breeding season. So this is a recording made by Jens Kirkby on the coast of the Bering Sea in Chukotka, Russia in 2019. Let's listen. So once a pair bond forms, they mate and then construct simple nests in shallow mossy divots in the ground that they line with leaves. The female spoon-billed sandpiper lays a clutch of 4 eggs. Care is biparental. Both parents will incubate the eggs, keeping them warm and protected over an incubation period lasting about 3 weeks. And once the chicks hatch, both parents share the task of early care of their young, though the chicks mature rapidly, reaching independence only roughly 20 days after hatching. This courtship, breeding, nesting, hatching, and rearing occurs in June and July in the extreme northeast of the Siberian tundra, near the coast of the Bering Sea, in the Chukotka district of Russia. Then in late July and August, the spoon-billed sandpiper undertakes an exceptional migration, traveling about 5,000 miles over about 4 months to their wintering grounds in Southeast Asia. This journey includes stopovers in Russia, Japan, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Korea, and China, with the flocks remaining roughly less than 5 miles from the ocean throughout. Feeding at tidal mudflats on the way, pausing to molt, shedding their reddish breeding feathers, and then, by November or December, they reach their wintering grounds on the coasts of Myanmar, Thailand, Bangladesh, India, Malaysia, and Sri Lanka. Four to 5 months later, in late March, early April, they make the trip north again, generally returning to the exact same breeding grounds as the previous year. So this is roughly 10,000 miles round trip in a roughly 10-month time span for a tiny bird with a 12-inch wingspan. As a long-distance migrant, the spoon-billed sandpiper does not have a singular localized native habitat per se, but traverses and relies on a range of ecosystems. Their breeding ground in eastern Russia is a tundra grassland of mosses, willows, and scrub near the coast. They nest less than 4 miles from the sea. In these June and July months that the sandpiper spends in the Arctic, daytime temperatures average in the 50s Fahrenheit and nighttime temps in the 40s. Here in summer, because this region is so far north, it receives over 20 hours of daylight. The sun never fully sets. The spoon-billed sandpiper shares its breeding ground with northern raven, wolverine, long-toed stint, reindeer, spotted seal, ringed seal, brown bear, bearded seal, emperor goose, whooper swan, Arctic fox, Vega gull, dunlin, lemming, Arctic tern, ribbon seal, Pacific loon, gray plover, Pacific walrus, and many, many more. And then in the winter, the spoon-billed sandpiper resides across a range of Southeast Asia, near the equator, near the coast. These are sandy, tidal and intertidal zones with shallow water and minimal vegetation. Mudflats, salt flats, river deltas, and tidal estuaries where river freshwater meets the sea. Temperatures in these regions generally see highs in the low 90s Fahrenheit and lows in the low 70s. And often these mudflats and estuaries see large tidal shifts. For example, one of the spoon-billed sandpiper's wintering sites at the Gulf of Matama off Myanmar sees a 20-foot swing between low tide and high tide. Low tide revealing flats dense with prey. The spoon-billed sandpiper shares these wintering grounds with greater sand plover, lesser sand plover, Eden's whale, crab, common greenshank, Indo-Pacific finless porpoise, mangrove, Walago catfish, far eastern curlew, Eurasian curlew, ghost shrimp, mud skipper, and many, many more. In the dream, to hold a sense of home so fundamental. A memory etched deep, a genetic cartography crossing 5,000 miles. And in the dream, to be a thing so resolute, to be compelled by potent intuition, a summoning from ancient cycles. Go now, go north, go home, and sing until your beloved finds you in the dream. The spoon-billed sandpiper faces a range of threats throughout its annual migratory cycle, impacting both its breeding and non-breeding ranges. Habitat loss has been a major driver of the species decline, specifically human coastal development of these tidal flats for housing, tourism, and agriculture. Additionally, the human-introduced invasive plant smooth cordgrass is rapidly colonizing mudflats across the sandpiper's range. Smooth cordgrass has an extensive root system and grows in very dense stands, creating a thick mat of vegetation that physically obstructs the sandpiper's ability to probe the mud for food. Recent conservation efforts have reduced targeted hunting of the species, but the threat of accidental capture in fishing nets resulting in injury or death does persist. And relatedly, the use of poisoned bait intended for other species has resulted in spoon-billed sandpiper mortality. Human-induced climate change from persistent over-reliance on fossil fuels is an imminent threat. Across its range, the spoon-billed sandpiper rarely strays from the coastline, and so global warming, resulting in sea level rise, is already affecting these habitats, threatening the bird's food source. Fortunately, several key sites within the spoon-billed sandpiper's range have been designated as protected areas. These include breeding grounds in Russia, on the Chukotka Peninsula, and crucial stopovers and wintering areas like Yancheng in China, Mae Po in Hong Kong, Point Calamir in India, and Paktali in Thailand. The Gulf of Matama in Myanmar, where roughly 2/3 of the species is thought to winter, was recently declared a protected wetlands. Awareness and outreach programs have been implemented across the spoon-billed sandpiper's range to address threats like hunting and accidental capture. These include establishing local education groups, negotiating hunting restrictions, and developing ecotourism initiatives to provide alternative income sources to locals. In 2012, the Wildfowl and Wetlands Trust initiated a head starting program. In the wild, only about 15% of hatchlings survive to adulthood, so the head starting program collects eggs from the remote Chukotka nesting sites, incubates and hatches the eggs in captivity nearby, rearing the chicks until they've fledged and then releasing them. Tracking surveys have found that with head starting, 75% of the hatchlings reach adulthood. Nevertheless, the spoon-billed sandpiper has been considered critically endangered on the IUCN Red List since 2008, and their population is generally in decline. Our most recent counts estimate that there are less than 550 spoon-billed sandpiper left in the wild. Information for today's show about the spoon-billed sandpiper was compiled from Animal Diversity Web at the University of Michigan, from Bird Conservation International, Volume 20, Number 2, Volume 26, Number 4, and Volume 28, Number 2, from Birds of the World at the Cornell Lab of Ornithology, from the journal Diversity, Volume 15, Number 4, from Frontiers in Marine Science, Volume 9, from Global Ecology and Conservation, Volume 35, from the IUCN, from Oryx, Volume 52, Number 1, and Volume 54, Number 1, from Wader Study, Volume 124, from Wildfowl and Wetlands Trust, from Wikipedia, and our sound recordings were from Jens Kirkby at Zeno Canto. For more information about spoon-billed sandpiper conservation, please see the Wildfowl and Wetlands Trust at www.org.uk. And so in a moment, I would like to perform some music in hopes of making space to be in contemplation of the other beings with whom we share our earth, like the spoon-billed sandpiper. I do not intend to force meaning upon or extract meaning from the spoon-billed sandpiper. Instead, I want this music to simply express my awe for all life. So I will pause in this space of sound and reflection, and I warmly invite you to join me. I honor the life force of the spoon-billed sandpiper. I will commit its name to my record. I am so grateful to have shared time on our planet with this tiny, beautiful being. And I lament the ways in which I and my species have harmed and diminished this species. I grieve. And so, in the name of the spoon-billed sandpiper, I pledge to reduce my consumption, my carbon footprint, and my wastefulness. I pledge to acknowledge and attempt to address the costs of my actions and inactions, and I pledge to resist the harm of plant and animal kin and their habitats by individuals, corporations, and governments. I forever pledge my song to the witness and memory of all life, to a broad celebration of biodiversity, and to the total liberation of all beings. This has been Bada Goodbyes. Thank you for listening. Until next time, let's take care of each other and all of our kin. Goodbye.